hustler. You've got to hustle. There ain't no time for sleep. Just keep on moving. Do what you're doing. You always play for keeps. Ain't backing down, no, we're going big. Ain't stopping now, we get after it. Get after it. Get after it. Light that fire. Get after it. Light that fire. For my survival, take down my rival. No, I ain't gonna stop. If I am beaten, I'm not defeated. I fight back to the top. Ain't backing down, no, we're going big. Ain't stopping now, we get after it. Get after it. Get after it. Light that fire. Get after it. Light that fire. Put it all out on the line. Give it to roll every time. Put it all out on the line. Give it to roll every time.
Welcome to the Power to Become Conference.
You ready? Let's go. Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, y'all. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
Here we're going to go ahead and get started with our program for tonight. Before we get started, we just wanted to give a few shout outs and thank yous to everybody who helped put on this amazing event. So our first shout out is to our director, Brother Spencer Hackney. Other people who have worked super hard on this program is Marion, our events coordinator. Thank you to everyone in the BBC who has helped to put this on. We also would love to give a great huge shout out to our speakers who prepared all semester to give these iTalks for you guys today. So give them a hand. All right, we will be starting our program tonight with an opening prayer by Danielle. After the prayer, we will watch a short video, and then I will be back to grace you guys with my voice again. All right, Danielle.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're so grateful that we could be here this night to learn from these speakers that have prepared so long and so hard to give these messages to us. We're grateful for the opportunity to be at this campus and to be learning spiritually along with intellectually. Please help us to have open minds and open hearts, and that we will be receptive to the principles taught. And please help the speakers to do their very best. And we say these things in Jesus Christ. Amen.
a great show. Our first speaker is a student journalist from BYU Idaho Radio. In the future, he plans to be a broadcaster and a reporter to tell the truth as it stands to all the world, whether it's the gospel or current events. He likes talking with people and considers himself a decently friendly guy, but will shake up your world in every happy way possible. Without further delay, please welcome Cody Miller.
Because you know that apparently there's a parasite that is infecting America's soul even as we speak right now. People think it's some far-off mystical land where it's being held. But from what people can tell, it may be closer than you think. So the question that people want to ask is, why am I qualified to talk about this parasite if it's even real at all? Well, I served as a journalist for BYU Idaho Radio, as well as a journalist student for about nearly 2 years now. And from the research can tell, and unfortunately, as it is, the parasite on America's soul does afflict everybody around. One way or another is specifically the destruction of objective truth perpetrated by the news media currently being held today. And if it affects America, it affects the rest of the world. So, how did the news become what it is now? How did it get so bad in the first place? And what is it going to cause? Well, let's see, shall we? The freedom of speech and the freedom of the press were codified in the United States Constitution in 1787. Specifically, Congress shall make no law either abridging or prohibiting the practice of free speech or the freedom of the press. That way, the press and the public can keep the government accountable. And by so doing, make this place a free world. The point of the news for the longest time was to inform and advise people. Unfortunately, the different forms of journalism started to arise very soon after. For example, yellow journalism. Basically, whenever you have yellow journalism going on, they just focus on all of the stupid stuff like war, violence, sex, sensationalism, and everything. And that's to keep you reading. Because all these companies have one thing in common: the pursuit of almighty power. Well, there's one person who challenged all these different forms of journalism. A dear man after my own heart, Walter Cronkite. During this time, for CBS Evening News, he always stated, and that's the way it is at the end of each and every news broadcast. It's because he told the facts as they are. And whenever he said his opinion, he labeled it as his opinion. He would always double-check his sources. And because of that, he gained the well-known title of the most trusted man in America. He prioritized facts, not opinions, and that made a lot of change. So, without him around, and with this parasite now inflicting America's soul, and even your ears right now, what has happened? Not good. Not good. Not good. This is a disaster in making, and it's already getting worse. The news today is filled with clickbait, sensationalism, and opinionated news. You can't find the truth for what it is opinion anymore. You don't know if somebody's saying, oh, I think this should happen, or I should think this happen. This is dangerous. How many times are you willing to go into CNN or Fox anymore? Get at the point. this has led to some dangerous situations. In 1992, after Rodney King was arrested, people got so angry from the news protests that they created a bunch of polarization. They couldn't trust the leaders, so they went their separate ways. Because they couldn't trust one another without the truth, it led to polarization, which led to violence, aka the LA 1992 riots, the culmination of which instituted this. 63 dead, 2,383 injured, 12,111 arrested, over $1 billion in damages, and then even more because of inflation, but that's neither here nor there. And some parts have yet to improve. I think we've seen enough. And if you think this is happening on the left, oh no, it's happening on the political right too. In January 6, 2021, a protest turned into a riot at the Washington, D.C. in the United States Capitol building. This is what happened when trust has been violated and depravity rules as kings. Case in point, one rider killed by a gunshot, one police officer killed from a stroke, exacerbated by the riot, 4 police officers died from suicide after it, not to mention 174 plus police injured. And finally, 1,500 charged for insurrection. If the news, which is infected with the parasite of America's soul, can do this, it can do to you. It can turn anyone into treasonous people. That is dangerous. In a study that I've done as part of my senior project, I asked people where they got their news, and the highest correlation that I was able to find was specifically the more students trusted the news they get off of social media. And as you can see here, unfortunately, whenever it's a more positive regression value, it means there's a more positive correlation, meaning more people trust the news from the social media. How much would you guys like to trust a news article if you got it from your family or your friends from on Facebook or Twitter or X or even Instagram or Snapchat? Yep, I see you all. That's exactly the truth. And it's not, I'm not confusing anybody with this. See, in the ideal world, that things would be so much better. Like for example, the news should definitely inform people, not advise people, because unfortunately, they like to put their own stuff. And everybody's seen it before. In an ideal world, the news would announce their biases. It would be so much easier if ABC said, oh, we're left-wing, or Fox would say, oh, we're right. Or rolling on the right. It would be so much easier. It would be so much easier if they could have classification of claims. Tell us where you got your news sources. Don't just pull it out of somewhere, some make-believe list. Yet, we don't live in an ideal world. We have to be intentional with the news or the content online that we consume, because if we don't, that leads us into dangerous places. David A. Bednar has said in his Things as They Are talk, or Things as They Are 2.0 speech he gave a couple semesters ago, that we are to be agents to act on and not objects to be acted upon. The news wants you to be objects. The parasites wants you to be objects. The Lord wants you to be agents. So, what can we do in order not become victims of these parasites, afflicting our minds and America's soul and our freedoms today? Well, first, read multiple takes on the same story. If you read it from Fox, read it from ABC. If you see it from the Wall Street Journal, read it from the New York Times. You have the time. I know action. Take a step back. I can't even begin to tell you how many times, well, my personal thing, my day was ruined every time I look at the news. It went from a bad day to a worse day. How many of that has affected you? So if you guys have a pretty bad day, take a step back. The news will wait for you. The news is for the people, not you for the news. Recognize clickbait engagement. Simply put, recognize if something's trying to get your attention, either because they want you to click on it and read it, and that's how they make their money, or they want you to get riled up by saying some exaggerated claims, saying, hey, this is true right over here. Don't trust it. Recognize it for what it is. Don't click on it. Don't support it. Because if you do, that will perpetuate the cycle of the parasitic relationship that this parasite will infect on you. I just want to say is simply this. We can change the world, but only if we apply the work to do it. And that's the way it is. Thank you.
Our next speaker, Max Carmen, is currently studying supply chain management. He is from Boise, Idaho, and loves to play basketball and make music. As you listen to his TED Talk, his hope is that you can all get a better understanding or view of optimism and why you need it in your life and how you can use it when life just flat out sucks. Next, Carmen.
So, one day me and my friend were walking, and we're walking around the stone wall. Sun was gone, he seemed like he was having a best day. So I said, reach out to him, we're like, hey, how's it going? He's like, well, I'm just letting the game. I'm like, okay, that's awesome. And then he said to tell us that, we learners are games too. We just run around. Now, okay, I guess that's how we do it. As I try to have optimism, I prepared a random mission. I was trying to smile my life more, to take things my right way, because sometimes life is hard. But as I took it my way, I saw that my optimism was a perspective, which meant that I would keep a smile and laugh. Even looking forward to every past my uncertainties, I was somehow hope. So, here's what laughing can do to you. Here's certain things. It can lower stress levels, combat depression, and naturally decrease pain. I've seen those three things in particular help me as I've laughed my life and enjoyed the perspective of optimism. So, what's allowed me to hear it, I was amazed that I was actually there. I was super happy. And I was trying to have optimism in my life, trying to smile more and laugh more, and to just look forward to the day. But there are a lot of challenges, such as companions, such as talking to everyone, and then also trying to learn a new language and culture. Life is awesome, but also life sucked a lot too. It gets you down the boat sometimes, but as I kept on to that perspective of optimism, that's what really got me to feel joy. So, once I have, living in my mission about 6 months, I had health problems, and I was rushed to the emergency room to have an emergency surgery. And this was a very uncertain time for me. It was very scary. I didn't know what happened to me. I didn't even know if I was going to be in the mission or not after that. So, as I was scared, it gave me 2 paths to choose. The first is to sit and be uncertain, and then the second is to be optimistic. I chose to be optimistic in that moment, but I knew that my perspective wasn't working, so I had to be more optimistic, and I had to find a different way to use it. So, As I tried to be more optimistic, I found out that I was evolving into a mindset. So the perspective is before the moment, or before the trial, and then the mindset is in the moment. And this made me focus on the now, which was really, really impactful to me. Because I know the things that I could control. I couldn't control my health, but I could control the way that I reacted, the way that I talked, and the way that I even smiled and laughed with others. And this brings me to my next point. This was a time that I was genuinely unwrapped, because I was listed all the good things in my life, and I also listed the things that I could learn from those things. And here are 10 things that genuinely can do for you. Especially, number 2, it encourages self-confidence, boosts memory, and inspires creativity. I've seen those on my mission. I've been more confident, and I've had more creativity, and I was able to remember the things to help me have that mindset of optimism. So, I had another health problem later in the mission, and my mission president told me that I was going to be sent home. And I was a little scared about the future, but during that last week on my teaching mission, I still had that mindset. I was going to do everything that I was supposed to do, and I was going to be in the moment. But as I came home, it felt like a dream. It didn't feel like I was actually home. But when I was home, there was a lot of doubts that came into play. These doubts made me feel depressed, anxious, and alone. I was seeing all my friends doing good things, while I was just at home, all alone and like, what am I doing here? It was a super hard time for me. And I was stuck with 2 choices again. To stay and be inspired, or to be optimistic again. And when I chose to be optimistic, it evolved again. It was a lifestyle. And that lifestyle made me look outside of myself and to focus on others more. And especially during my service mission, I was focused on service. And this helped me to do every little thing to serve others. It made me get out of my comfort zone. It made me feel more joy and the best I've ever felt. Because I decided to take the initiative to evolve my optimism, to make it not a mindset, not a perspective, but to actually bring it into my life, to make it something real. And this brings me to my next point about what service can do for us. Here are 8 things. Service can help reduce depression, anxiety, and pain. I've seen that during my service mission. I've been able to feel more happier and to feel more better. And this brings me back to the point. Optimism is a choice to be happy now and for the future, despite life's challenges. Now you guys know the why, and the have optimism. Now is the time to do something about it. So, here are 3 things you can do to have more optimism in your life, or to evolve your optimism. The first is to smile at someone and connect with them, and then to just laugh. The second is to check in with yourself, see how you're doing, and then to go outside of yourself and serve others. And then the third is to write 3 good things you're grateful for each day. I invite you guys to do one of these 3, or all of these 3 if you guys want, and to try out optimism. And here's my promise to you guys. I promise that if you guys choose to be optimistic in your life and to practice it daily, you guys will find joy in this life, even when you feel that way. Thank you.
Well, guys, life is sucking just a little bit less now. Thank you so much, Maxwell. Our next speaker is Liberty. People sing Liberty Gonzales, the Liberty Mutual jingle, probably 8 times a day, and yet she never tires of it. Good for her. A news journalism communication major with a minor in political science, Liberty basically makes reading the news her whole personality. During her internships in Washington, D.C. at the Pentagon, and then the U.S. House of Representatives, Liberty's lifelong patriotism was revived with new fervor. And now you can't get her to shut up about politics, the Constitution, and Thomas Jefferson. Currently managing editor of the BYU Idaho student newspaper, Scroll, Liberty enjoys meeting new people and hearing their stories. She believes that deep, meaningful relationships come from learning how to talk about important and controversial topics. Oh, she's also single, fun fact. Buffoon, tyrants, land pirates, butcher, monster. Now, in case you haven't figured it out yet, yes, I am talking about Abraham Lincoln. Or at least, those are just a few of the choice words that some of his contemporaries used to describe him during his presidency. Or, for another example, we could talk about the man who, in 1968, had a 73% disapproval rating from the American public. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Martin Luther King Jr. Or, for another example, we could talk about the man who told his followers that the entire world hates you. Just know that they hated me first. Now, what do these three historic figures have in common? If you're thinking to yourself that each one of them challenged societal norms of its day and brought about lasting change that can still be felt in our world today, you're not wrong. But what I was actually thinking that they all have in common is that they all have a lot of people who really hated their guts. And if there's one thing our experts are in modern America, it's hating people's guts, right? We live in a highly volatile and polarized society. But it's kind of ridiculous for me to tell you that. After all, you live here. You know that you can't hardly walk through a hallway without bumping into at least 6 different hot button issues. And the issue with the hot button issue is that when you bump into it, it tends to explode and take a lot of relationships and probably your social standing with it. Now, fortunately for all of us, here at BYU, we pride ourselves on being very, very, very nice. We stop in traffic and let random people cross the road. If we're the random person crossing the road, we go, thank you. And like shuffle across as quickly as possible. The person in the car is like, it's okay. And everyone else behind them is like, oh man, I guess it's okay. We smile at strangers, we say, I love your outfit. And if somebody is sitting there just with an objectively normal looking face, we go up to them and say, I'm so sorry, but are you okay? And we go, oh yeah, I'm fine. But it's great to be nice. And I really love that BYU is nice, but sometimes I fear that in our zeal to be so nice, sometimes we shy away from everything that could be considered controversial. And you see, that's because for most BYU students, the math looks something like this. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is a false equation, because controversy does not have to equal contention. Lots of times we think anything controversial, where people are going to have different opinions on something, is bound to bring in that gospel swear word, contention. However, one thing that is a true equation for you is that people can never change if we do not challenge their assumptions. And if you never bring up something controversial and challenge the way that someone sees something, change will never happen. So, we need to challenge assumptions and have our own assumptions be challenged if we ever want to experience true, lasting change. However, you guys, again, we know this in theory. And yet we also know that, this graph, unfortunately, is fairly accurate. Now, this is a graph showing the amount of Americans who feel free or who don't feel free to speak their mind in any given social setting. As you can see, in 1954, only about 13% of Americans didn't feel free to speak their mind. That was like our grandparents checks out, right? Because they still kind of feel right around. But by the time we reached 2020, almost 50% of all Americans no longer feel free to speak their mind. And a disproportionate amount of that are people our own ages, between the ages of 18 to 30. Now, since 2020, I can guarantee you that I think that number has probably just gone up. Now, this is something that we call self-censorship. It's when we stop from saying something because we're afraid it's going to be controversial. Because, well, we're afraid we're going to offend someone, that they won't think we're very nice. Now, I've been a member of that 46% who didn't feel free to speak their mind. But I wasn't born that way. In fact, I was born as a super self-righteous little child who you can never get to shut up. And so when I was in high school, I did what super self-righteous little children who never shut up do, and I joined speech and debate. And I was one of those absolutely insufferable speech and debate kids who made it my whole personality. And really my whole personality was like being right. Anything anyone said, like, actually. And one day, I realized that I had a box full of medals, but I didn't have any friends. And I was lonely. I realized that because of the way that I was so cocky and arrogant and argumentative all the time, that was driving people away from me. And I realized that I really wanted friends. So I stopped talking about anything controversial. And I made friends. It was magical. But then, after I'd been up here at college for about a year, one day I woke up and I realized that here I was, lonely, again. But this time it didn't make sense because I had so many friends, right? But as I thought about my relationships with my friends and our interactions and our conversations, I realized that the reason I still felt so lonely was because so many of my relationships were so surface level. And that was because of my fear to talk about anything potentially controversial, because oh no, what if they were upset? What if they upset me? What if I lost a friend because I said something they didn't agree with? Now, I think we can all identify with feeling lonely. In fact, most Americans experience loneliness. You'll notice that this chart shows the increase of feelings of social loneliness or isolation in the United States of America. It's kind of a sharp spike right around the 1950s. Basically what this map is saying, what this chart is saying is that we're lonely. But anyway, again, right? Now, what I thought was most interesting when I looked at this chart was I was like, wait, that looks kind of familiar. And so I put it over top the other chart, because this is what I do in my free time because I'm a nerd, and I realized that these two charts have a correlation. That as people feel less free to speak their minds, people seem to feel more lonely. I think that comes because when you don't tell people how you truly feel, how can you ever feel truly seen by anyone? How can you truly see someone if you don't know how they feel about some of the most important topics in life? And so even though I had all these friends, I was so lonely. My loneliness went up as my self-censorship went up. And so I decided to try kind of a really scary experiment for me, actually. I decided to start talking about politics, okay? And I think we all know that this is the moment where, everyone gets up and leaves from Thanksgiving dinner, or the moment when one of your friends, awkwardly laughs and changes the subject. But the thing was that I didn't want my relationships to be surface level anymore. But I also didn't want to lose my friends. I didn't want to burn bridges like I had when I was just, that arrogant trope and speech and debate in high school. And all I knew about how to argue was how to tear someone else down. Instead, my new goal was to learn how to build other people up when we talked about these things. Now, one thing you should know about me is that my internal monologue is in fact an old British man. I don't know why I watched a lot of BBC when I was a kid, but because of this is important, it's relevant, I promise you. Because of this, my internal old British man, we'll call him Alfred, he came up with this phrase for me to use as I endeavored on having these interactions with people. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with, I don't know how cultured you are, but sometimes there's this expression. Usually you hear old British men use it in old movies or something, and they say, there's the word. And we say that in situations when we're really saying, don't say anything, right? And so, in situations where something potentially controversial has come up, and we may be tempted to think that when is the word, remember that when is not actually the word, but when is an acronym. So, when you're entering into one of these conversations that's potentially controversial and you're afraid, I might burn some bridges with this if I don't approach it the right way, the first thing you need to do is examine your motivation for entering into this conversation. Now, if your motivation is to prove that you're right and you're wrong, and they're stupid and you're smart, just like run, just leave. You guys, what are you even doing? Like, don't enter into that conversation because you're not going to make friends and influence people, okay? So instead, you want your motivation to be to seek for mutual understanding. This really smart man, Stephen Covey, who wrote the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, taught us that we should first seek to understand others and then seek to be understood. And so this mutual aspect of it is very important because in a conversation that truly builds a bridge, you're not just building a bridge to one side, you're building a bridge to both sides. And that is why it's so important to have mutual respect during any of these conversations. So you could be doing your very, very darndest to be as respectful as possible, but someone could still, unfortunately, be treating you rather poorly. Don't stay in that situation. You don't need to stay in a conversation where, even though you're being respectful, your beliefs are being torn down. And you need to realize that it takes two to tango, guys. You're only going to be able to build a bridge if the other person on the other side is grabbing the rope and tying it down instead of like throwing it in the pan or wrapping it on fire or something. However, this is not a secret, okay? Mom is like not a secret. It's not even a secret that I have like a British man in my brain there, okay? There are no more secrets. So you don't need to be like secretive when you're talking to someone. You're like, oh, I want to use no now, but they can't know I'm using no. Don't be weird, okay? Just like tell them. Say, hey, I know this is something that kind of has the potential to be a little bit controversial. I really want to know your thoughts on it, and I want to try and understand you better. But let's just make sure that our motivation is in the right place for us, that we're not too emotionally heated, that we're going to be able to seek to understand each other, and just maintain mutual respect. It's not a secret, you guys. Just tell them. You can even tell them this crazy girl who has a British man in her head told me to do this, okay? Let's throw me into this, that's fine. So next time we're in one of these conversations and you're tempted to think mom is the word, remember that mom is in fact not the word, but it is an acronym. Now, I wish that I could tell you that mom has a 100% success rate. I wish I could tell you that if you apply this magical formula today for only $3.99, that you will never lose a friend if you say something that challenges their assumptions. But that would be a lie. Because unfortunately, sometimes people just choose to be upset. And maybe you did everything right, but that didn't matter. They're just not ready to have their worldview challenged. Now, I'm not saying you need to keep pushing them. In fact, you shouldn't, okay? But if they choose to be upset by something that you said, is that a very good reason to choose to not say it? Now, you remember Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King Jr., and Jesus Christ? So if you had a time machine, you would go back and talk to these 3 men. Would you sit them down and just say, buddy, listen. I know you have a lot of things that you think are really important to tell the world, but like, you're going to upset a lot of people. Like the Pharisees, they're going to be really ticked off. You're really going to hurt their feelings. Like Martin was saying, the Ku Klux Klan, super offended by the things you say. So I'm thinking you should probably just keep that to yourself. You're just like, well, when someone's like, just don't say those things. No, hopefully you would not tell any of these individuals not to say or do the things they did simply because some people chose to be upset by it. Because look how much good came when we challenged people's assumptions. Look how the world is different today because they decided to say what they wanted to say, to let the words fall out, honestly, because they decided to be brave. Now, in the end, ultimately, it does take a lot of bravery. And it takes a lot of trust as well in your relationships. And it takes a lot of love. But if you never take the step off the edge of the cliff, you'll never know if you'll fly. And I know I just said that mom doesn't have like a 100% success rate, but honestly, I am being completely transparent when I say I have never lost a friend because I talked about something controversial. And I disagree with my friends often. My friends disagree with me. And because of that, our relationships are so much deeper and more meaningful. And I'm not as lonely anymore. And so, in the end, all I want you to remember is that, please, folks. We need to get her on the stage more often. That was amazing. We will be having an 8 to 10 minute intermission now, but before you go ahead and get up out of your seats, I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows about the raffle that we have going on. As you were coming in, you could put your name on a ticket, and we're going to be drawing that raffle at the end of this presentation. So keep that in mind if you haven't put your name in for the raffle. It's a pretty cool basket, so you can do that. We've got refreshments in the back. Feel free to get up and stretch your legs and go get some refreshments, and we'll pull you back when we're ready to start again. Thank you.
Jesus Christ. In dating, it's crucial to be all in present and look at what kind of person your date is actually trying to become. Now that I have your attention, this is a principle that Bishop Gerald Cossé has experienced. He shared in his fall 2023 devotional how part of the reason his wife fell in love with him was because she saw his divine potential. He taught that we begin to see the divine potential in ourselves and others when we accept the power of Christ's atonement into our lives. It might feel difficult to see the potential of others, especially when they might not see us that way. When we rely on the Lord, quote, our potential for progression knows no limits.
It's 3.2 from the driveway of my house to your apartment where I am waiting now. Come on, don't think night's young. Let's go. NYC, Portland, Austin, Anaheim. Maybe not Anaheim. Keep an open mind. I'm just saying, baby, let's go. I don't care. Anywhere. Like a river connects to the ocean, this baby touches wherever we go. White lines flying getting older. Maybe it's just left turns off familiar streets. I just wanna come back with a memory. Growing up doesn't mean getting older. I don't care. Anyway, like a river connects to the ocean. This pavement touches wherever we're going. White lines flying by. Who knows what we'll find? You and me tonight. Let's ride. Let's ride. Remember when we were young and free? Oh, where it used to be. Tell me, can we go back? 3.2 from the driveway of my house to your apartment where I am waiting now. Like a river connects to the ocean, this pavement touches wherever we're going. White lines flying by, who knows what we'll find? You and me tonight. Like a river connects to the ocean, this pavement touches wherever we're going. White lines flying by, who knows what we'll find? You and me tonight. Yeah, let's ride. I'm at a party I don't wanna be at, and I don't ever wear a suit and tie. Wondering if I can sneak out the back. Nobody's even looking me in my eyes. Can you take my hand, finish my drink, say, shall we dance? Oh yeah, you know I love you, did I ever tell you? You make it better like that. Don't think I fit in at this party. Everyone's got so much to say. Yeah. I always feel like I'm nobody. Who wants to fit in anyway? 'Cause I don't care when I'm with my baby, yeah. All the bad things disappear. You're making me feel like maybe I am somebody. I can deal with the bad nights when I'm with my baby, yeah. 'Cause I don't care as long as you just hold me near. You can take me anywhere. You're making me feel like I'm loved by somebody. I can deal with the bad nights when I'm with my baby, yeah. We at a party we don't wanna be at. Trying to talk but we can't hear ourselves. Pictureless, I'd rather kiss them right back. But all these people all around, I'm crippled with anxiety. But I'm told it's where I'm supposed to be. You know what? It's kinda crazy 'cause I really don't mind. Can you make it better like that? Don't think we fit in at this party. Everyone's got so much to say. Oh yeah. When we walked in I said I'm sorry. But now I think that we should stay. 'Cause I don't care when I'm with my baby, yeah. All the bad things disappear. You're making me feel like maybe I am somebody. I can deal with the bad nights when I'm with my baby, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. 'Cause I don't care as long as you just hold me near. You can take me anywhere. Making me feel like I'm loved by somebody. I can deal with the bad nights when I'm with my baby, yeah. No, I don't like nobody but you. It's like you're the only one here. I don't like nobody but you, baby. I don't care. I don't like nobody but you. I hate everyone here. I don't like nobody but you, baby. Yeah. 'Cause I don't care when I'm with my baby, yeah. Oh, yeah. All the bad things disappear. You're making me feel like maybe I am somebody. I can deal with the bad nights when I'm with my baby, yeah. till I knew you. Ooh. I never knew anybody till I knew you. Ooh. I know when it rains or it pours. I know I was born to be yours. I never knew anybody till I knew you. Ooh. I never knew anybody till I knew you. Ooh. I know when it rains or it pours. I know I was born to be yours.
I'd like to encourage everyone to go ahead and make your way back to your seats. Thanks.
Only one lost in the millions. Are you my grain of sand that's blowing in the wind? I never knew anybody till I knew you. Ooh. I never knew anybody till I knew you. Ooh.
Oh, so glad all of our lovely faces came back to hear just a couple more eye talks.
You have a voice, and it deserves to be
What we did last week was an opportunity for you to share your story or idea with real students just like you. Whether it's something you learned, a passion you feel deeply about, or an experience that you've had, you'll never know who needs to hear your words. Somebody in the audience could be inspired to act because of you. If you've ever said, I wish that people understood this, or I can make a difference, this is your sign. Sign up for iTalk for next semester so people can experience real students, real topics, and real change. We have a Wow, what a lovely face on that video. I wonder how it was. Alright, that like Ryan shouted a couple times, please sign up. You guys, you're amazing. We need to hear your voices. So we'll have that up at the beginning, at the end of this iTalks. So, moving on to our fourth speaker, we've got Isaac Morley. He is a computer science and engineering student with an emphasis in machine learning and engineering from Thornton, Colorado, whose variety of passions has led him to a crossroads in the direction of his life. Today, he's focusing on something that, through all his experiences, has been made clear to him: the importance of family. Here to share what he's learned about making up for lost time, owning your mistakes, and putting in the effort to fix what matters. Because let's face it, our parents aren't perfect, and neither are we. Isaac.
So, here's what I want to talk a little bit about recognize or misunderstood, specifically about reaching out to people who have raised us. As I was looking at this topic, I decided that I wanted to look into not just my own personal experiences, but the experiences of the people around us. So I wanted to start with this. Who here has felt recognized by their parents at some point in their life? That's almost all of you. And honestly, what I expected. We were at Brown, a lot of our families around us, which kind of makes up for a little bit of it, but also it's just a thing that parents do. So, as I saw this, I decided to put a survey out around Brown. I set a survey out, I put on the PPC, I put on the Crossroads. I also created it to some of my teachers and had it show in class. And so, I have graphs showing exactly how much. I was surprised actually by how many people said that they did feel micromanaged. It was kind of a shocker because I just never really thought of it. Because to me, my parents always micromanaged me. I always thought, wow, my parents just think they know what's better, or they don't live life, but they don't live mine now. So I always thought they did. But realizing that a lot of people felt like they didn't, but a lot of people who did think they did, they felt very passionate about it. They felt like their parents control a lot of their life. So I took two of the survey results. When I wrote my survey, I would put an option for people to share experiences that they felt like would be reasonable and not too personal for me to share. While knowing my grades is a notification on my phone, and anytime I had something beyond A, I would get lectured. My father would take my phone a million times and do a search of everything, reading all texts and going through all my pictures. Both wouldn't want to do anything if they weren't rewarded, which made me scared to make plans, which kind of was what I expected. That's what parents do. They don't want to have privacy. My family was always much of an open door policy. If you close your door, not to tell you how it is. Another one. When I was young, I thought there were far too many rules regarding phone time and computer time. But looking back, I understand everything and plan on having the same rules for my children. I'm grateful now, even though I have a talk on micromanage. This one feels like more where I'm at now. I don't feel like my parents, well, I feel like they didn't micromanage me that much. I still feel like I'm micromanaged, but it's enough more, it's enough less, that I feel like it's much more justified. When I first started this, I kind of was thinking over times that I could think about micromanaging. And I honestly thought when I was teaching the Plan of Salvation mission, we were teaching the eternal family and the fact that I'd be with their families forever. And when we brought up the idea of being with our families forever to the ceremony, the entire calendar was changed. They started moving from the to and I was honestly like, wow, it's just a topic. You don't have to be that positive about it. We don't move on to the rest of it. But that made me think. And it made me realize that a lot of the reasons why our parents micromanage us and they control us is because they feel disconnected from us. Because what we have now is not what they have then. And so, honestly, our families are kind of split apart a little bit. Not physically, but just personally. And so, when I was talking about this, I was realizing how disconnected we are with our families as a whole. I thought, do I really want to be with my family forever? Is that something I really want? Because I thought about it, I was like, I want a wife, I want kids, I want to be with them. But then I thought about it. What are the family I have now? What are my siblings? What are my parents? My cousins, my aunts, my uncles, my grandparents? And I was like, I've never really thought about whether that's something I want to do. And so, as time passed, I decided to think about it. And I realized, throughout high school, I'd spent years of learning home. I'd gone on to video games, I'd gone on worked as much as possible, spent as much time with friends as I could. I did everything I could to also avoid being alone. That's kind of like what teenagers do, though. They're kind of just like, oh, it's my family, I don't want to be associated with them. Well, genuinely, I've realized that there's a lot that I missed out on this family time. And when I was working it, I realized that every time I had been there and I had paid attention, doing my best to be present and active with my family, I loved everyone we did. Road trips, family reunions, movie nights, the Boy Scout activities, like, there was just random little things that I loved every time. And I thought about it, and I wanted to look at psychology. So I wanted to bring attention to Maslow. He created Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it talks about a lot of what we need: psychological safety, love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. And the main paragraph in that was love and belonging, love and connection. And I thought, okay, it's not a lot of people help me learn as much, so I want some more as well. There's another quote. William Brown said that connection is the source of all peace and happiness. And basically said that our connections with the people around us is what makes us who we are, what makes us happy, what makes us have that life. And so I honestly thought, when I was at home, I thought my parents was waiting for me to leave the house. I was like, they probably just like waiting for me to leave the house. See you, son. Have a good time. Well, just good luck. But I kind of thought about it and I realized they were just waiting for me to leave. And I was starting to realize this as the fact is that I started to go and look for my friends. I started to go to my friends to try to build a family instead of relying on family like we're given. I tried to build my own. And I was trying to belong somewhere. But honestly, I really realized that them plus everybody on my mission, I have the several families, and especially the family of the missionary who really decided to go out. I never wanted to serve mission. It was never one of my plans. Well, the missionary I talked to back in my homeland, he kind of talked to me about it and explained what he felt about it. And I kind of talked to him and I was like, you know what, I have nothing that's going on right now. Why is what he's going? So I went, and I was very astonished to get called to Provo, Utah. Wow, such a big calling, I know. I went to Provo, and I ended up serving in my third round. I ended up serving in the mission where he said about his family's on. So it was really fun to get to go out and knock my door and realize, oh, wait a second, this is them. But the way they treated me, the way they acted on me, and they talked to me, really made me feel loved. They treated me like I was a brother, or like a son, to the point where, honestly, they would like pastor us as missionaries and kind of just like drop us off on our doorstep at random points. We could hold and maybe just something new, and it's like, this is new. But I realized through those efforts that my family was trying to connect to me that I had entire time of high school. They hadn't been pushing me away. They hadn't been tolerating me. They've been trying to actively take my ideas, my opinions, things I wanted to do, and actively make sure that I got feelings heard too. I just hadn't realized that until I've had in the house for a long time. But now I'm realizing that I need to put more effort in. And so I'm trying to make it for last time by repairing relationships with my family. So something I started with my father when I got back home from my mission. Father, he picked up a habit of building watches. So I thought, well, I was returning this from that. I've had some fun with it. I've built a couple of watches, but the difference is I feel genuinely connected with them. And I feel comfortable being around them. And I realized I have moved on my other siblings. Each one of 15 miles, took my target, and I took my number, and we had a marathon. 6 hours of sitting on snacks and 4 little kids all following sleep was kind of crazy. Whereas I wanted to skip school for an entire day just to go take my younger brother out just for her day. Went to IHOP, went to Kroger, went shopping just for fun. He was like 5 at the time. I don't know if he's going to remember that, but hopefully. And I realized now, after spending this time with myself with my family, that I'm much more comfortable with them. And that I honestly looked at it and I'm realizing my parents aren't just trying to micromanage me. They're just trying to do what they feel is best. They're not even telling us. They're trying to adjust just like I'm trying to learn. Our parents aren't perfect, and honestly, can't respect the lady. They too are trying to learn exactly what it is that they need to do in order to treat us the way that honestly God would have us be treated. When I was working on this, I really was wanting to think about like what family means to me. What is family? And to me, it meant people I can rely on, people I can trust, people I feel connected with, and I feel like if I show them and they really need, that I can just let them do this. And when I was looking at this, I kind of was reminded of a painting. And I'm reminded of God in heaven in a painting. And I kind of thought about it. And I realized that God always has his finger fully extended. His fingers always reach out to us. So by definition, his hand is always extended to us. He's trying to give us everything he can. He's trying to help us out every way possible. But Adam's finger, every one but the last digit is extended. The last inch is our choice. People can do whatever they want to connect to us. But if we don't accept that they're trying to connect to us, that's our loss, and that means we're not putting in our effort. I honestly decided that I would say this. If my family can hear me, I wanted to apologize for the person I've been, for the son I've been, for the brother I've been, grandson, cousin, for the friend I've been. I haven't been the best person. I'm the nicest person. But I've seen who I am, and I've seen where I'm now, and I know where I want to be, and I'm working on it. I'm sincerely trying to become the best version of me as possible because I believe that everybody I come in contact with deserves that version of me. And so, I want to invite all of you to think of someone, brother, sister, mother, father, someone related to, someone, or even just a friend, someone that you feel like you've disconnected with, and reach out to them. Do your best to invite them back into your lives, to let them get to know you and know you. Not that you kind of put a facade up and just keep everyone on resistance. Let them get to know you. Because honestly, if you reach out, you don't know how much it's going to do. You don't know how far that 1 inch will go. If you just extend that last digit, you don't know how much of an impact you're going to have on that person's life and your own. So reach out. Start with that 1 inch and see how much further it'll go. Thank you.
That was amazing. Everybody start with that 1 inch. Our next speaker is Aramonie. Aramonie Brinker off as a sophomore at Brigham Young University, Idaho on the pre-nursing track. She is originally from Powell, Wyoming, where her speaking experience stems from competing in creed speaking for her FFA chapter, winning at the district and regional levels, and placing at a state level. She also spoke in front of the chapter during meetings as the chapter secretary. In her younger years, she experienced homelessness and parental alcoholism. Through trial and error, she aims to inspire others to build the lives that they desire, regardless of the circumstances or experiences they have had. Aramonie. Do you ever feel like you cannot achieve as much as others? Or that everyone seems so put together? Perhaps people have said the same thing about you. They don't know how you do it all. We see good grades, a wedding post, somebody going on vacation, or somebody showing everyone their college degree. And we tend to assume that they have it all. We see the results so much, but we often forget that people used years of hard work to journey their way there. You can achieve your way to greatness just as well as anybody else, despite your personal trials and circumstances. You say, well, Aramonie, what do you know about Agency University? You're a white female of Christian faith obtaining a college degree. And although you'd be correct, there is always more to the story. Growing up, I lived with my parents, and they were unemployed, addicted to alcohol, and so we naturally begged on the side of the streets for money. We moved from hotel to hotel, lived in another home, lived in a tent. We never even went to school until I was 9. Briefly, when I was 9, my aunt graciously flew across the country to get my brother and I into a more normal environment. And this environment that I had before encouraged me to never want to go back. I decided that I wanted to build my life for myself. So, especially when I got into high school, I started to take things really seriously. I knew that I wanted a college degree. I knew that I wanted to be educated and that I wanted a good job. So, I took on leadership roles in multiple school organizations. I was a multi-sport athlete. I tried my best to keep good grades. I took college classes. And I was working about 20 hours a week. And in the summers, 50 to 60 hours a week. So at the beginning of the days, with scholarships and my own personal money, I had to get me to college. So, what for all of us? Despite our personal trials and our personal circumstances, we can achieve what we want in life. We can achieve our dreams. We can achieve greatness. And we can build the life we want despite any things that happen in our life, and the life that we have. As I reflected on my life, and reflected on the things that I've been able to achieve, not achieve, I noticed that when I was able to achieve things, I was following kind of a 4-step plan that broke big goals down into manageable habits. Because I know I can do the small things in your life to change their life. Most people, James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, quote, every Olympian wants to win a gold medal. Every candidate wants to get the job. And the successful people and the unsuccessful people share the same goal. There cannot be a goal that differentiates the winners from the losers. The goal has always been
implemented a system of small, continuous improvements that they achieved a different outcome. End quote. So, how do we differentiate ourselves and our lives to be winners in our lives instead of feeling lost? And how do we implement a system to improve? We're going to go back and visit that 4-step plan that we mentioned. So just kind of want you guys to all take a deep breath, take in your life, and think about the next 5 to 10 years and what you want your life to look like. What kind of goals do you want to achieve? What kind of things do you want to have happen? What do you want your life to look like? So our first step is picking out our goals and the why. Before we even start to think about any big goal that we want to work towards that takes years to achieve, we first want to think of why we want to achieve that goal. So, my personal example is, for the lifestyle that I know that I like to live, I need a good salary. And in order for me to have the salary that I want, a bachelor's degree probably won't be enough. So I'm going to be getting my master's degree. So my why is the lifestyle that I want, and my personal goal is obtaining a graduate degree. But we have to break these big goals down into smaller goals. What are the vague things or tasks that you need to get there? Now that you're thinking of your big goal, think about these smaller things that you can do. So, if I want to get a graduate degree, for example, I really need to save money because graduate school is super expensive. I need to start applying to school because if I don't apply, obviously I can't even get in. I want to be thinking about where I want to live, what kind of circumstances where I want to create for myself, etc. Okay, so now that you're thinking about your goal and the smaller things that need to be done to get there, what things can you do now or in the near future to point yourself in that direction? If it's a graduate degree, for example, maybe one of the things is saving money. I can apply to a job that works with my schedule because if I don't have a job or an income, there's no way I can even save anything. I can build my resume by doing things like I talk or competing in a sport or society. There's things in my life that are going to be tedious when building success, such as getting a job. If you're a college student, that's the last thing you want on your plate is hours of work dedicated to something else that might not even relate to your life and what you want to do. But you want to make sure to work on it by putting joy into your success and putting joy into building your resume. If there's a sport that you're super passionate about on campus, go for it. If there's a resume and you're really happy about it. If there's a certain society that relates to your major that's going to look good and you're passionate about, do that. Make sure that you're doing things that make you happy in your life. Okay, now that you're thinking about the near future or what you can do now, what are some habits that you might be able to create in order to even do those small things? So, if one of my goals, for example, is getting my GPA up so that I can eventually get into a grad school, I might study for certain times each day. So, like a certain class, I might have a certain time set apart for, so my brain is ready to learn those things. Or if you're like me, and sometimes do scroll on TikTok or Instagram instead of writing an essay, you might put your phone on Do Not Disturb, shut it completely off, or just put it away for a certain time of day, or stay out of the living room so you're not watching the TV. Putting those distractions away. Things that are consistent that you can do to even achieve those small things. So, why and how does this plan work? When we're thinking about our big goals, they often feel super intimidating. How am I ever going to get to grad school? That seems like such a big thing. So many people aren't even able to achieve that, so how am I going to achieve that? We think it's so big that we begin to not try at all. We begin not to push ourselves towards our goals. So we break those big goals down into small goals. What can I do now to get a graduate degree, for example? Applying to schools, saving money. Even those things can feel intimidating, and we may not know where to even start. So, break those small goals into what we can do now. There's things that we know that we can do in our life to point ourselves in the direction that we need to go. So let's start there. So why do we need habits if we already know what we need to do? Habits build a system of consistency. And when we don't have habits, we rely on motivation and crash when we lose that motivation. Habits build a system of consistency and discipline so that even when we feel motivated, we continue to try. We continue to work towards our goals. You can achieve your dream life by starting with the end in mind, breaking down your big goals into smaller goals, into big tasks, and then starting with what you know you can do now or in the near future to point your trajectory towards your dream life. And then to lock it into place with habits so that you have that system of consistency that you can fall back on that is a foundation for the goals that you have. I know that you can achieve your dream life and build confidence in building habits because I did the same thing with my life in building confidence in doing the same. So, over the next month, and I will be doing the same thing around with you guys, I want you to each pick one habit. Just go through a cycle, break down your goals, choose one habit to work on over the next month. Write it down, put it somewhere you can see it, and work towards it. Be inspired. Take a step, and remember, the power is in you. Thank you.
Wow, a huge shout out to everybody who's been here today. Thank you all for participating. Let's get one more round of applause for our amazing speakers. And go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back too for being here. Thank you so much. I like all the pats, that's awesome. Okay, we have reached the end of our program, so we are going to end with a closing prayer and then do our raffle. So please grab our prayer. Ask Tim to say it for us.
Our Father in heaven, we thank you for this wonderful opportunity that we've had to gather together to be inspired by these amazing speakers tonight. Father, please bless us that as we go home, we'll try our own safety and that we'll be able to ponder the messages we've heard so that we can apply them to our lives and learn to be more optimistic and to set better goals and connect with people and all these other wonderful things that we have been taught. We thank you for the venue and the wonderful people and the opportunity that we have to have events like this where we can gather and we can learn and grow together. And we say these things, Father, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.